Songs that I wrote a number of years ago. It's called Love, Om, Dream, Peace. And that's the chorus, so please join in on the chorus. What would Jesus say? Love, what would Buddha say? Om. Rumi says, see yourself in the mirror of me. Dr. King said, dream. Gandhi said, peace. The Tao says, you know the truth by looking inside. Inside. Love on, dream peace. Love on, dream peace. Love on, dream peace. Love on, dream peace. By looking inside, by looking inside. What would Jesus say? Love, what would Buddha say? Om. Rumi says, see yourself in the mirror of me. Dr. King said, dream. Gandhi said, peace. The Tao says, you know the truth by looking inside. Inside. Love on, dream peace. Love on, dream peace. Love on, dream peace. Love on, dream peace. By looking inside. By looking inside. By looking inside. By looking inside.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unity of Tacoma. Thank you, Stephan. That was wonderful. My name is Reverend Lori Irwin Johnson, and I am the spiritual leader here for today, and I go by the pronouns she and her. And if this is your first time watching, I'm so glad you decided to tune in or show up and be here in person. And we're so glad if you decided to join us again. If you've been here before, we're so happy to see you. So thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. And we're so happy to move forward in this holiday season that we are having here at Unity of Tacoma over the next couple of weeks. I'd like to introduce our musical guest. That was Stephan Plummer. And just so many other songs. Just wait. It's going to get awesome. It's not that that wasn't awesome, but that much more awesome as we go. So we're so excited to hear more what she has to offer. So thank you for joining us today. And just so you know, Stephan's going to be here on our Christmas Eve candlelighting service. So she's going to be the musician for that. So we're looking forward to that as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Today is the third Sunday of Advent. And that is the Love Sunday. And you can see we have this wonderful pink candle. So there are 3 candles lit. We have hope, peace, and love so far. And we have one more for next week. And this, as over the last couple of weeks and one more week next week, we're going to continue to talk about the birth stories of Jesus. And in a different perspective, we're going to look at it from a literal, a metaphysical, a mythological, and a historical lens. So we're going to look at all of those things and to see where we can find a special meaning, maybe something different than we haven't seen before about Christmas and these wonderful stories. I'd like to start off our service today with the prayer for protection. So if you know the prayer for protection, please say it with me. If you don't know the prayer for protection, just listen. It's a blessing in and of itself. So let us pray. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is and all is well. And as we sit here in prayer, just take a breath. What a busy season it is for all of us with family and friends and shopping and being here and there and everywhere. Let's just take a moment just to settle, just to be here, to be present, to be aware. We are the light of God expressing in this incarnation on this planet. And this is the time of year to recognize it, to see it, to welcome it, to be open to it. So as we sit here in prayer, we know that we are supported, that everything that we do throughout the season, no matter how hectic or busy we are, that the underlying theme every single day, every single moment is love. We are a child of love. So as we go forth into our world this week, as we continue within the season doing all the busy things that we do, let's just take a moment to appreciate the love of the season, the peace, the joy, and the light that's coming our way. We're so grateful for this opportunity to be together. And we just say thank you. It is, and so it is. Amen. So, I'm going to have Stephan come back with another song, and then we'll come back for affirmation and message.
Okay, hi again. Oh, hey! All right. So, this is another song I wrote a while back. I've written some more recent ones that I'm actually in the studio now. It's really exciting. So, I'm working on my next CD. So, more to come. This is called Rising in Love. Though there are times when I cannot see the path in front of me, I lose my way and feel so alone. Like every friend I've ever known is gone. So far, far from home. Then I hear life call to me. There are choices to make. So how will it be? Are you gonna play safe, risk nothing at all? Or will you rise up with the colors of dawn, illuminating every step that you take? And I'm rising in love. I'm rising in love. This is my choice. This is my life. And I'm rising in love. And fear won't stop it. And the seasons won't change it. War can't kill it. I now claim it. Within me, your love flows throughout so naturally, raising my heart, singing my voice, speaking of love and calming the noise and generating every breath that I take. And I'm rising in choice. This is my life, and I'm rising in love. And I know that love is lifting us higher. Love is lifting us higher. Sing it with me. Love is lifting us higher. Love is lifting us higher. brothers and sisters, lifting you higher and higher and higher. Love keeps lifting us higher.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Amen to that. Woohoo! Thank you. That was great. Oh, welcome, welcome, everybody. Our affirmation for today is I choose to awaken the song of love in my heart. So let's say that together. I choose to awaken the song of love in my heart. And our spiritual lesson for today is a little bit longer than our usual one. We usually just do a line or so, but this is important to the message, so I wanted to read the chapter at least a little bit more. Our spiritual lesson today is from Matthew 1:18 through 21. It says, "Now the birth of Jesus the Messiah took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been engaged to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found to be pregnant from the Holy Spirit. Her husband Joseph, being a righteous man and unwilling to expose her to public disgrace, planned to divorce her quietly. But just when he had resolved to do this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, 'Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit, and she will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus.'" And our reading for today is an excerpt from my favorite poet, James DeLette Freeman. And if you heard the prayer for protection just a few minutes ago, he's the one that wrote that. And it's from a small little essay he wrote years ago. It's called "I Am Filled with Wonder," and this is an excerpt from that. And it reads, "The child was born in a stable. I've always liked that part of the story, because the God I believe in is love and life, and the least of things is as dear to him as the highest. A sparrow is as much as a star. An ox and a sheep are as dear and as wise to him as an angel. When the sum has all been added up, no least thing will be left out. So on that night, that holy night, that night of unparalleled glory and wonder, love made sure that the humble beasts were there. What a thrill of pride must have run around that stable, from the ox in whose manger the child lay to the small mouse peering under the haystack in the corner. Is there any of us so arrogant that he does not feel a little bit of joy? Finally, there's the Holy Family. First of all, there's Joseph. We pay so much attention to Madonna and child that sometimes we forget he was there. Personally, I have a great deal of sympathy for Joseph. I can imagine how I would have reacted as a young man had I been in love with a girl and found out she was with child. It would have taken a mighty persuasive angel to convince me that I should marry her. Joseph must have been a very loving man and in love with Mary. That is the only thing that makes the story possible. He had to accept this child, knowing it wasn't his. Or was it? That's not an idle question. What is it that makes a child yours? It's not just the accident of birth. I see Joseph standing there that night off in the corner because that is where we usually see him, shouldered out by all the celestial fanfare. But as far as we know, he was the only one there when the baby was being born, so he must have been there to help. He must have been a very warm man and a very patient man. He must have had a gentle sense of humor, and he must have had a quiet discipline of mind and soul. Oh, there must have been a great deal of human love and human kindness and human understanding in this man, Joseph. How fortunate Mary was. How fortunate Jesus was to have him there in his life. And Mary, of all the figures in the tale, she is probably the best known of most of us. We are familiar with so many pictures, statues, songs, and poems in which she is the central figure. She is the divine mother, and she stands for love, but there is a human being in there too. She was a very young girl, and she found herself a child in a most extraordinary way. What with angels coming down and making periodic announcements and the like, that must have been quite a thing to hear. That your child was to be the world's savior. It would fill you with a great deal of fear and a great deal of pride, wouldn't it? Yet I wonder if most mothers holding their babes in their arms have not felt much the same expectations Mary felt. I have a feeling every mother thrills with fear and pride as she gazes at her newborn child and wonders what it may grow to be. And last, of course, there is the child. According to the story, this was God as he appeared to be when he appears as a man. The infinite in the form of an infant. It's understandable, I'm sure, that those who beheld him fell down and worshipped him. But I've thought about that too. Is there any infant who doesn't have about him something of the awesome infinite? When you think of it, what he may be, what will he become? And can the infinite ever appear to us in any other form save that of an infant? For infinite must always be that which is yet more and has the power to grow. I love this story. All of it, I'm glad that when God came, he came in a stable. It would have been frightening had he had been born in a palace or even in an inn. But in a manger, that gives me even hope. But then, I should have expected it to be like this, for as I say, the God I believe in is love. I really enjoyed that story by James DeLette Freeman, and I have an entire book of Christmas stories that he wrote, and he's written several. But I thought it was really important because I wanted to talk about Joseph and I wanted to talk about love today. And I wanted to include that because he was a central character that kind of gets pushed off to the side. In fact, in the story, if you read the Bible in the New Testament, you see that Joseph kind of fades off. You never hear about him again. He's just gone. Mary, you can hear several times throughout, she is mentioned. But after the birth stories and the time where he was in the temple at 12, Joseph is gone. So scholars believe he passed away. But we don't know for sure what happened. We just know that he was left out of the story. But I wanted to talk today a little bit about his dream. And I wanted to do that in a way that maybe resonated with you. I want to tell you a story of my own. So several years ago in 2008, my mother passed away. And it was quite suddenly in the middle of the night. Now, she had been in and out of the hospital for several years. She had congestive heart failure, so she was in the hospital a lot. But usually it was in for a couple of days, and then everything was fine, and then she would come home. So this in and out of the hospital was a norm for her. So we really didn't think that that was her last time going in. There were a few signs for us, and in hindsight, I should have seen it. My sister should have seen it, or somebody should have seen it, but we didn't. For example, when my sister and my cousin went to visit her on a couple days before she passed, she said to them, I want you to tell Dad that I want to go home. Now, if you didn't know that my dad had passed 5 years ago, you'd think, okay, well, maybe she's just ready to leave. But my dad had passed away 5 years prior. And she kept saying, your dad's here to pick me up. I want to go home. My cousin and my sister told me about that when I came to visit because we were kind of in shift. And I didn't think anything of it. And I thought, well, she's on some medication. You know, the medication was pretty severe. And the side effects she did respond weirdly to throughout her experience and time in the hospital. So we didn't think anything of it. We just kind of brushed it off. My sister at the time was a caregiver, and she lived with my mom. So my mom could live in her house, so she didn't have to be in any kind of assisted living. And we were prepared to bring her home in a couple of days when she received a phone call in the middle of the night saying that they didn't expect her to make it till morning. And I think it was around 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2. And by the time my sister, we got there, she passed at 4 o'clock, but she waited until all of us left. It's interesting how that happens. We went there, and the doctor says, "Oh, she's rallying. She seems to be doing better. Why don't you go home and get some sleep?" And then as soon as left, that's what happened. And so we get the call saying that she had passed, and this is after we're home, and it was upsetting, of course. But we decided. My teenage children were asleep. So we decided not to tell them in the middle of the night. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. They had school the next day. They probably wouldn't go to school, but they still needed their rest. So we decided that we wouldn't tell them. We'd just tell them in the morning. So the next morning we told them what happened, and of course, obviously they were upset. But my youngest son, who was 12 years old at the time, he was quiet, and he's a stoic kid, but when he gets talking, he can talk a blue streak. But most of the time, in these situations, he would be very, stoic and quiet. And I asked him, I said, "Are you okay? Do you want to talk? Do you want, because, he's 12 and he's moody, and he didn't really want to talk to anybody ever." And he said, "Yeah, I want to talk." And I was like, "Okay, let's sit down." So he told me a story about the dream he had that night. So he said that he saw my mom walking down the street in front of her house where she lived until she passed. And my kids had spent a lot of time at her house. And he said that she was healthy and she was strong and she was walking down the street. And Grandpa was there with her, holding her hand. And they were walking together, walking down the street away from the house. And I thought, oh, what a nice thing, And he goes, they were walking this little fluffy white dog, and they were walking towards the end of the block, and then I saw this airplane fly over, and they looked up, and we all looked up, and then they disappeared, and then the airplane went away. And he says, "I knew she was gone." And I thought it was interesting that this had happened. I thought, wow, he had no idea that she was going to pass because it was normal for her to be in and out of the hospital. He had no idea that we had even been at the hospital with her and that she was gone. And but he had this vivid dream about her. But the interesting and the weirdest part about the dream was the fluffy white dog. Now, the fluffy white dog, he never knew that my parents had a dog. The whole time he was alive, they never had a dog. And I had a dog growing up, which is a little fluffy white dog that we had from the time when I was 6 years old until I was 20. And that dog was every part of our life. He just one of the kids, completely engrossed in our life. Everything we did, from camping to everything, this dog went with us. And so this little fluffy white dog that he knew nothing about, that I had never talked about or he'd never seen pictures of, knew about this happy little white dog that was always with my parents throughout their life. And I thought, wow, what a great story. And he still remembers it today. And when I called him the other night and I said, "I'm really going to talk about your story. Are you okay with that?" And he says, "Yeah, it's fine." He's 26 now, so it's not, he's like, "Yeah, okay." And he thinks that, I'm just a hippie woo-woo person anyway, so he's like, "Yeah, sure, share it." But I believe that he had a premonition, that he had a precognitive dream, and I believe that he still carries that memory today, and it was very strong memory, and I think it scared him for a while, and it made him feel different. But I think that these precognitive dreams aren't something that's different. And the definition of a precognitive dream is a dream that seemingly includes knowledge about the future that cannot be inferred from actual available information. That's the scientific definition of that. Did you know that there was one? There are many famous incidences where there were precognitive dreams, and Abraham Lincoln, for example, he had a dream about his own death. John F. Kennedy also had a dream about his death. And even though it's considered a paranormal phenomenon, 17 to 38%, depending on the studies that you read, state that the population have precognitive dreams. Up to 38% say that they've had a precognitive dream. And I just wonder how many more people don't talk about it, like my son. He was very hesitant. He talked to me about it because, again, woo-woo mom. But yeah, he talked about it. How many people don't talk about it? Abraham Maslow would say, so many more people have these experiences, they don't acknowledge them, or they just don't talk about them. And so not only is it 38% of the population claim that they have them, but 63 to 98% believe that they happen. So even though they don't believe that they might not have had them themselves, they believe in other people having them. So it's a very common phenomenon, something that happens to a lot of people, and we hear about it. And I've heard so many stories throughout my life about these precognitive dreams. And so it's not abnormal, even though it's paranormal, they call it. Throughout history, myths have talked about precognitive dreams, messages that are carried while you're sleeping. The ancient Egyptian lore promoted that dreams could change your future. And they actually had a book that they found in archaeological evidence called the Egyptian Dream Book that helped you interpret your dreams. Almost all cultures have had precognitive dreams from all the myths and legends. So like Greek and Roman and Celtic and indigenous peoples all have stories about precognitive or premonitions that happen in dreams. And even in the Bible, they're all over, these precognitive premonitions in the dreams. In Daniel 1:17, it said that Daniel could interpret visions and dreams of all kinds. The prophet Joel in Acts 2:17 said, your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams. And the birth stories of Jesus are full of these precognitive dreams. The angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said that Mary's going to have a baby, and it's okay, marry her. And later, the angel came back to Joseph and said, you need to take the baby and go to Egypt because Herod was going to assassinate the baby. So you need to take that baby into Egypt. And then he came back again when he was in Egypt and said, okay, now it's time to go home. So all of these premonitions that Joseph had made him a very important figure in the story because he was open and he was aware of these dreams. Now, metaphysically, this story about dreams and Joseph points towards our own hesitancy to see with our cognitive and waking self what's happening. And so we step into this dream state, and then we're more open and available for the messages, the ideas, the problem solving that happens. And that's when it happens, when we're asleep. Now, I know that biologically our brains are like doing this dump while we're sleeping, getting rid of things that don't matter and trying to figure out problems that we have. But in dreams, we're all about symbolism. Have you ever had a dream where you're going through and you don't really know you're in a dream, but you're trying to read something and you can't? I've had those dreams. You've got this piece of paper and you're like, I can't see this. I don't know what this says. It's because that part of your brain isn't active when you're sleeping. You can't read the symbolism. So the symbolism in dreams then has to be metaphorical. It has to be allegorical or metaphysical. It has to be, because you cannot translate cognitively when you're sleeping. So we need to step away from our cognitive self to get into this metaphysical state in order for us to get into that state of consciousness that's accepting this light that's coming into the world, this awakening that's happening with the birth of Christ. When Christ consciousness comes into your understanding, that happens, but you have to be willing and able. And our cognitive self gets in the way. It's like, oh, that's all cool and stuff, but is that really what's happening? I mean, that kind of stuff, that questioning, that negativity, that like my son's like, well, Mom, that's just a little woo-woo. In the back of your mind, you're like, oh, maybe that is a little woo-woo. And so But when you're in your sleeping time, when you're in that space of awareness that's different when you're asleep, then you're able to take in those messages. And that's what happened to Joseph in these dreams. That's what the allegory, the mythology behind that goes, that he was open. He was open several times. And as a parent, aren't we really open to those things we don't even aware that we're on it? So, for example, my grandbaby was over yesterday, and my son and his wife are new parents, but they already have that intuitive sense of parenting, you know? They know when the baby needs something. They know when they're just something. And so I'm holding the baby, and he goes, oh, well, he's hungry. I said, he doesn't look hungry. He goes, well, he's hungry. And I was like, he doesn't look hungry. But they have this intuitive sense. And the thing is that when we're parents, we carry that with us. We are in a different state of consciousness when we're parenting our children than when we're thinking about it. We allow, we experience, and we intuitively do it. When we're sleeping, we're also in an intuitive state. We're open and available to those things that are happening that we may not notice because we may overthink it, or we're just too busy to even care. So during this time of Joseph's sleep, he heard these things that were important, and that's the metaphysical message that we need to take. When we are overthinking it, we are out of the loop of our intuition. We are out of sync with that availability for Christ consciousness to come into our lives. And once we get into that state and move away from our thought process, then we can bring that Christ consciousness into our lives. And that's part of the message. So both of them, like I said, were given to, and this is metaphysically within the book by Charles Fillmore. He says the language of the divine is a symbolic language. So again, we're looking at a language that's not cognitive. It's something that we have to divine. We have to decide what it is. We have to figure it out. Wouldn't it be nice if we just got messages that were just plain? I mean, if you had a dream and like, this is what you need to do, and you're like, okay, I got it. And then you wake up the next day and then you're like, sure, I got that. I'm moving forward. I'm going to do it. Well, the thing about dreams is that you are asleep. You get these dreams that you have to figure out, and then you don't remember the details when you wake up. And so you have to be very aware, and lucid dreaming is something that's really important. And so we're going to talk about that during meditation. We'll talk a little bit about lucid dreaming. So when you're in this space, you're getting this information from this divine source that it comes in symbolism, you don't really know, but when you're open and available, especially in meditation and prayer, or when you're asleep, when you get rid of all that cognitive chatter, that monkey mind, then you're able and willing to take in this information and be able to use it in a way that's helpful for you. And like my son and his dreams about my grandparents, I know that he was reassured by this experience that he had. And he knew that all was well. He knew in his heart that he felt that they were together and all was well. And that's what James DeLette Freeman was talking about when he talked about that underlying love that is throughout the whole story. It talks about this birth of Christ consciousness, but there was a symbolism and a symbiosis between all of the characters in order for that to happen. So that was a really important part of that story. And comforted by the understanding that God's love and light is always there, trying to communicate with us. All we have to do is be available and open and willing to see it. And if we're not willing to see it while we're awake, let's be willing to see it while we're in meditation or when we're sleeping. So tonight, when you fall asleep and you get into that space, that fuzzy space of really awesomeness where you're about ready to go to sleep, plant in your mind and say, hey, I want to remember what I'm dreaming. I want to receive a message today, and see what happens, and do that. And then when you wake up, please write it down as soon as you wake up, because it's going to be gone in a few minutes. So that's the beauty of the divine message in this story about love and Joseph and his precognitive dreams. It's all about telling us to be available and willing to accept these dreams or this idea that may not make sense to us, but it is coming. So open your eyes, open your hearts, accept it with love, and allow it to be. I'm going to invite Stephan back for another song, and then we're going to go into some meditation that's going to help us to hopefully bring on some dreams or a state of consciousness that will give you a message.
I'd gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet, to share with you the last bite of bread I had to eat. And I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. And love can build a bridge. And don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart could understand that love and only love can join the tribes of men. And I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. And don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? When we stand together, it's our finest hour. We can do anything, anything, and we keep on believing in the power of love. Can build a bridge, love and only love, between your heart and mine. Between your heart and mine, love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Sing it with me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. And love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Ooh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I have the best job ever. I get to sit up here and listen to people like you play for us. Oh, excellent. I'm so looking forward to Christmas. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now is the time that a lot of people get so excited for, and it's time for meditation. So let's get into a space of meditation, whatever is comfortable for you. And if you're sitting in a chair, with your feet on the floor, allow yourself to feel the floor support you. Just feeling that energy coming up from the floor. Coming up and going through your legs, into your hips and into your torso, throughout your arms, up your neck and through your head and out to the other side, out the top of your head, allowing it to flow as part of the universe. So not only are you pulling it from Mother Earth, but you are allowing it to flow out into the cosmos. And with each in-breath, you're allowing this energy to move freely, moving any blocks that are in your way, just allowing it to go, opening up, allowing that space. as you sit in this space of openness, this receptiveness, you can get into a space that's almost sleep-like. There is that space, that theta brainwave state that happens right before you go to sleep. That's the yummy spot. Just sit in that spot for just a moment, feeling how good it feels. It's like a warm, cozy blanket. And it's there always. All you have to do is turn your attention to it and allow and open up. And as you sit there in this space of openness, you can focus on your heart, bringing your attention to that part of your body. And when your heart and brain get in sync, so many wonderful things can happen. So focus on that, paying attention to your heart, allowing that energy to flow from your heart to your head and back again, opening up the channels. And as we allow this, as we breathe through this process, we are so accepting, we are so open, and we're in this space of love. We feel it. We're not just thinking about it, we're embodying this space of love. It's a love that we don't have to seek outside of us, because it's always with us. It's that beautiful, beautiful psychic hug that we receive, and we give it to ourselves, but also the divine is there, always willing to give that little hug of love. And while you're sitting in this space of openness, this love, we're so open and accepting. And it's here that you can ask. Ask and you shall receive. What is it that you want to know today? It doesn't have to be large. It can be something small. But it can be more. It can be whatever you'd like. There is no limitation. What is it that you want to know? What is it that you want to hear? Open yourself up to that answer. Because it's in these moments of silence where you're open, that you are open, receptive, and able to receive the message that you need to hear. And now I'd like you to ask that part of you that's open. Say, if I didn't get fully what I needed right now, bring it to me in a dream. Bring it to me a dream where I can be aware and I can use it. And now that we've received this information and we are open to it, and even if you didn't get a message this time, you've already asked the universe to give it to you in another way. And even if you didn't receive a message, or if you did, please say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for all the love and the peace and joy that I have within me. I'm so grateful for that capacity. I'd like you to bring yourself awareness back to that energy that's flowing through you from your feet, up and out through your head, and surrounding and circulating through you and as you. And you can allow that energy to flow through you, because it will. If you don't allow it to be stifled, if you don't block it, it'll flow through you, energizing you, healing you, and allowing you to be much more. Our human form, our ideas, our cognitions, they limit us. But we know we are infinite. We are like that infant. We have so much possibility, and it never ends. And as we end this meditation, I'd like you to take a deep breath in, bringing your awareness back to your body, knowing that you can come back at any time and do that exercise. Take another deep breath. You can shake out your arms if you'd like. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your awareness back to this space. And Stephan's going to come back with another song. Thank you.
Another original that came to me, that God gave to me.
There is a flower that blooms from within. There is a sweetness that flows from God's hand. There is a light for every darkness there ever was. There is a guidance that shines filled with love. Love. Oh, love. Be the love, be the truth. Be the place where light shines through. Be the love, be the truth. Be the place where life is new. Oh, be the love, be the truth. Be the place where life is new. Oh, be the love, be the truth. Be the one that God can use today. Today, this is the day.
Sing it with me.
Be the love, be the truth. Be the place where light shines through. Be the love, be the truth. Be the place where life is new. Oh, be the love, be the truth. Be the one that God can use today. Yeah, this is the day. Today is the day for peace. Today is the day for understanding. Today is the day for forgiveness, for forgiveness. This is the day, 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 this is the day.
You know, every time that you come up with the perfect song, I'm amazed, but I'm not surprised. Beautiful, thank you. All right, we come to the portion of our service where we open our hearts to give. All donations that we receive here at Unity of Tacoma go to support the ministries and the missions and the projects that we have and the wonderful musicians that you hear here. So anything and everything that you offer to us is so, so appreciated. And there are so many different ways that you can give. You can go to our Facebook page and you can give there. There's a donate button at the top. And you can go to facebook.com/Unity of Tacoma and give. And I think it's via Facebook there. You can also go give via Facebook on our website by going to unityoftacoma.org/donate to give via PayPal. You can donate with Zelle using our telephone number 253-576-3225. Or you can mail us a check to Unity of Tacoma, P.O. Box 112289, Tacoma, Washington 98411. And as we prepare to give, I'd like you to hold it within your hand, just visualizing it flowing through you and as you. And as Jesus said in Luke 6:38, give and you will receive. You'll be given much, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It will spill into your lap. The way you give to others is the way God will give back to you. And as you visualize holding your gift within your hands, please repeat after me. Divine love, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am so grateful for every blessings I have today. And I am grateful in every way. And so it is. Amen. For those of you who are in the building today, you can drop off your donation in the back. We have a prosperity box back there. And we appreciate everything that everyone does to support us. So grateful, and thank you so much. Everything you do, we feel the love and support of you, whether you're online or you're here. We appreciate you, and thank you for supporting Unity of Tacoma. We have a few announcements coming up. Even though the season is very busy for all of us, it's busy here at Unity of Tacoma. Next Sunday, we have musician David Robeck, and we will be observing the fourth and final Sunday of Advent, and which is joy. So our color theme, or our theme for next week, is Christmas. So if you have a Christmas sweatshirt, I have an ugly old gaudy thing that I love to wear with sparkles and everything, and I'm going to be wearing that. If you have anything else that, socks or Christmas hats or reindeer ears or whatever it is, please wear it next week, because we're going to be celebrating Christmas joy on that Sunday. So it'll be a lot of fun, whatever you can do. Even if you just have a red sweater to wear, just something festive, bring it with you, wear it so you can be part of this wonderful theme. And that's next Sunday at 10 o'clock. Christmas Eve candlelighting service will be Saturday. It's Saturday, and it's going to be here at Surge, and it's at 5:30 p.m. And Stephan is going to be our musical guest. I'm really looking forward to that, because that's always a lot of fun, and you could always sing along with Stephan. I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun, so we're looking forward to that. There will be no in-person services on Christmas Day, but I will have a recording of a short meditation and prayer service that you can see if you wanted to tune in anytime after 10 o'clock on that day. So I'm going to release that so you can watch that. There will be no in-person services on New Year's Day, but there will be a full service that will be recorded that you can watch. And Christine S. Young will be the musician on that day. So we're going to be doing that, but no in-person services on New Year's Day. Our first service back is January 8th, and we will be having our Burning Bowl ceremony. And then the following week, we'll have our White Stone ceremony. So I'm looking forward to cleaning up all that stuff that we don't want to take with us in the new year, and writing up a new idea of what we want for ourselves. So I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. It's my favorite time of year. In January, we're also going to have a membership class. So for those of you that are members but haven't had a membership class in a while, or if you're interested in finding more about finding more about Unity of Tacoma, or if you're just kind of curious, you can come to this membership class. You do not have to become a member if you don't want to, but if you ever in the future want to become a member, you do have to take a membership class. And this is going to be online on Zoom. I haven't got the definite dates yet, but look forward to that in January, and we'll do it on Zoom one night, and there'll be like 3 classes and for an hour and a half or so. So it won't be very long, but again, if you don't have to become a member to do this, I would like to see people just to come so we can talk about the history of Unity, talk about the history of Unity of Tacoma that I don't know. That would be wonderful. And then also just be able to share that. And then at some point, if you do decide you want to become a member, then you can. You've already taken the class. So that's going to be in the end of January, so wait for that date. I will let you know. And look for, it'll be either posted on Facebook, or I'll just announce it here, or in an email. So our benediction for today is also from James DeLette Freeman, who I thought, well, he's part of the theme, so let's end with him too. He says, "So this is the prayer for you this Christmas. May there always be room in your heart for divinity to find a birthing place. May you be holy as the angels were, faithful as the shepherds were, humble as the cattle were. May you have the compassion Mary had and the understanding Joseph had. And may the blessing of the Christ child be yours, not because of his birth a long time ago, but because his love is born in you today." Amen. So it is. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us, tuning in today if you're online. And I'm going to have Stephan come back and take us out with our "Let There Be Peace on Earth." And if you can, stand. If you can't, that's fine. Do it wherever you are, but sing out loud. If you know the words, we'd love to hear you. And even if you're online, we'll hear you anyway.